So this was a trip. I'm doing an extra Ani-vember review due to a little hiccup in November where I reviewed two 2021 anime instead of a 2022 one. Sort of. If you want to know the details, you can go ahead and watch the Heike Story review for more clarity. But thankfully, I see this as a silver lining kind of review because in the original mission of this year's Ani-vember, I wanted to look over how the industry itself evolved too. And I sort of did that. However, for some reason, I forgot to look over anime on demand. I don't even know how I overlooked it. When making the preliminary list, I said I wanted to take a look at a streamed anime, and just didn't. I mean, technically I did, ironically with Heike, but you know how that turned out. Anyway, Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Based on the same world and setting of the 2020 video game Cyberpunk 2077, I remember the early marketing and impressions of the show right as the game was slowly improving. After all, Studio Trigger was working on it, and with creatives like Hiroyuki Imaishi and Masahiko Otsuka behind the helm, with the working budget of Netflix in the corner, it was shaping up to be a one-of-a-kind. And it didn't disappoint. Cyberpunk Edgerunners is one of those matter-of-fact, tell-it-bluntly and explosively stories that doesn't shy away from punchy storytelling, but still maintains a circumstantially profound nuance. And not a dollar of that budget is wasted as is told in what I believe to be the show's best parts, the animation. However, just because I think it's a mind-blowing experience of blazing visuals and intriguing character writing, that doesn't make it perfect. In fact, there were a few things that I never fully got into, whether if it was my first watch back then or rewatching it now. A boy named David attends a hoity-toity school despite being poor. He's mocked and degraded to a point of trying to fight back, only to be reprimanded by his school and mom who works hard to the bone for his education. However, in a road rage gang war incident with the pair caught in the middle, his mother's left critically hurt with paramedics skipping over them just because they don't have insurance. Now an orphan, David resolves himself to rebel against the class system by teaming up with a thief named Lucy and her group of Actually, I don't know what they are. Contractors, I guess? Learning his mom had a role in this group somehow too, David implants himself with cybernetics and gets to work to dismantle an oppressive and corrupt city one night at a time. I want to preface this by saying I've never played Cyberpunk 2077 nor have any experience with a tabletop game, nor am I really interested in doing so. They just don't seem like games for me, and this is partially part of my problem with the show, but we'll get to that. The ideas and themes behind Edgerunners are very clear. The stark divide of economic and social caste and the classism that comes with it. There's a good amount of writing that explores or outright exploits these motifs to a point where they almost lack a subtle gaze into the concepts where it would become unbearably repetitive. It's not like these ideas are new, heck the early marketing of the game was pretty on the nose about this stuff, so it's not exactly profoundly clever or original to the series. And this would almost be a hit against the show if it wasn't for how they incorporate them in other ways. The world building and character dynamics are incredible. There's a distinct air of brutally commonplace normalcy to be found in this world that it hits you with an unfettered and uncompromised vision. You don't just see David and his mom get denied the medical assistance, you see them turn to the alternative and the harsh contrast in advancements versus the premium stuff. There isn't just a bunch of gangs fighting for drugs or territory, there's a dark underlying corporation war sponsoring the gangs, and it makes the situations both tragic and tense. There's some excellent commentary in there somewhere. On top of those, you do feel for the little guys trying to get through the nights. David's been pushed one too many times and compromises his morals and mother's wishes to get back at those who he sees is in need of justice. Pair that with the pseudo-vigilantism of Lucy's group and it becomes a very complex dynamic between those trying to survive and those trying to live. Clash both of these things together, a survival of the fittest world and fit only to survive characters, and what comes out is a clanging of angry tones and unfair events to come in this world that emphasizes hate and class. It hits you in the noggin with a brick devoid of subtlety, and is unapologetic in getting you to root for characters who may or may not deserve it due to this world that definitely doesn't earn sympathy. This is even more pronounced in the opening song. This Fire by Franz Ferdinand is a very inspired choice for this kind of story, and is accompanied by amazing visuals showcasing that world and the raw fire burning inside David ready to make his move. The entire show is formatted in this stylish collage of neon colors and intense imagery, as expected from Trigger, and it's some of their best work in recent years that it's really hard to make any other claims about it. is pronounced, raw, and energized in the frames and action where it matters most, and it's amazing. That all said, I do have a few issues with the show. Firstly, it is a show based on a very extensive property. If you're someone like me who knows nothing about the lore or deep implications of this world, then there are things that can lose you for a bit. Like, what are those things the Edgerunners are stealing from people? I know they're valuable, but are they data chips or software disks? Are they actual parts of a person to sell on the black market? Are they literally stealing someone's identity? While the world building is good standalone, it's not perfect in giving you all the information you might want. And some of the characters I just never got too attached to. David's cool and characters like Lucy and Ming were great, but I never got a deep impression by the rest of the gang. For example, what did you know about the pervy brother aside from his perviness? He was smart, and that's about it. What about Dorio? I thought she was really cool and a good anchor to Main's character, but again, there didn't seem to be much to herself as a fleshed out person, but instead a brawny co-captain. Even characters the internet went nuts over like Lucy and Rebecca I thought were just okay. It's not that I want to adore the characters or anything, but I wanted a little substance to their arcs alongside their thematically present writing. They had the purpose, they just didn't have the presence. Well, for me anyway. Because, like I said, people gushed over these characters. David's seen as a culturally sympathetic character nowadays, as is Lucy, with the latter also being prominent in most of the show's aftermath run, like in merchandising and even game appearances outside the Cyberpunk fandom. And don't even get me started on Rebecca. Dear lord, do people love this gremlin. And I get it, she's not for me, but she is fun. And I actually really like her English dubbing. It's really high-pitched and gravelly, and it's really natural and unique. It's in this popularity where you can really see the future of anime distribution. Edgerunners became an internet phenomenon, with good reason. Older Netflix originals like Great Pretender and BNA had an audience, but Edgerunners had a whole fandom. I'm sure fans of the franchise had a lot to do with Edgerunners' success, but when word spreads, it spreads like a citywide fire. Netflix is a complicated business, and I don't have enough time to get into theirs, but with them, Crunchyroll, and even bigger powerhouses like Disney working their ways to solidify anime as the next media sensation by making their own, it's no surprise when those shows like Edgerunners makes the competition turn their heads. When the Edgerunner phenomenon ran its course, it was genuinely exciting to be an anime fan. It was a show for everyone to get into, one that had people talking regardless of their media intake. It also got the gears shifting faster for streaming services to cater to the market, which, yeah, is ironically turning into a semi-problematic conglomerate race Cyberpunk's been criticizing, but the results are still there, good and bad. So shows like Edgerunners, the Heike Story, and most recently Dawn to Dawn continue in expanding the general public's knowledge on this medium on the distribution channels growing fastest. It's a galvanizing plan that sets up the industry for success, but a very cautious tale to the consumer about priorities and entertainment absorption. But that's a discussion for another day. For now, Edgerunners is an electrically charged show, and it leaves you stunned in both the best ways visually conveyed and narratively confused ways. While the themes aren't anything spectacular on their own, it's the emotional turmoil and draw of the setting that ropes you into a fascinating tale about surviving and fighting. There are smart ideas and crude images that point blank give you exactly what you want from a show like this, but not always in the ways you anticipate, and it catches you off guard in intelligent integration of character interaction and evaluation of the show's meanings. While not always sophisticated in the writing or animation, it puts on a show you'll never forget in boomy segments every episode. It's a rebelliously great time, and if you ever need a show to get your mind off things, this fire is out of control and we got a city to burn.